I can do all things is the title for this study as we look at Philippians chapter 4, verses 10 through 14. And in this passage, the Apostle Paul is thanking the church at Philippi for the recent provision that they've given him to meet his physical needs, sent to him through Epaphroditus, one of their own members. So Paul is giving thanks to them, and in this context says some pretty, I think, remarkable things that I think we're going to want to take a look at. But he begins in verse 10 by saying, I rejoice greatly in the Lord. Let's read the rest of it. That now at last your care for me has flourished again, though you surely did care, but you lacked opportunity. So this word care means to think about. I was on your mind. You were thinking about me. And I'm glad, I rejoice greatly, in fact, that this care has now been revived and that you're able to send this gift to me. He says, though you did care, I'm not saying you didn't care. You did care. You were thinking about me, but you lacked opportunity. There was not an occasion for you to give an expression of your care for me for some time. So he says, not that I speak in regard to need, verse 11, but I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. So he said, my need really isn't the issue, because I've learned to be in a place where I have needs, or I'm lacking what I need, and I've learned to be content in that place. He says in verse 12, I know how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. So I know how to be abased on the one hand, and I know how to abound. So for Paul, there was kind of a cycle. It was not like things just kept getting better and better. But there are seasons in his life where he was abased, where he had need. He was humbled. There's other times where he had more than enough of what he needed. But the brothers and sisters have now renewed their partnership with Paul and with the Lord who provides to meet the apostles' needs. That's why he rejoices greatly in the Lord. The Lord is a part of this mix. And the Lord is shepherding this whole transaction of giving and receiving. So Paul says, I am mega rejoicing for your gifts. I'm mega rejoicing in the Lord. Everywhere and in all things, he goes on to verse 12, I have learned to be both full and to be hungry. Everywhere and in all things. So wherever I am and whatever I'm experiencing there, so the totality of my life, basically, he's saying, I have learned both to be full and to be hungry. Now I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that I think that Paul being hungry was something he didn't begin to experience until after his experience in meeting the Lord on the road to Damascus. I think his life before Christ, I just can't imagine him going hungry. He was a Pharisee, well respected, and we know how much the Pharisees love to feast. I just think he was pretty high up in the food chain, and I think he probably was never hungry. So this being abased, being hungry, had to be something that he learned to deal with since he had become a follower and a missionary for Jesus Christ. I have learned, he said. So apparently this had not come natural. It was something that he had to learn through experience. I think we can identify with that, can't we? That we learn through experience, and there are times where we ourselves have suffered need and lack, and you may be there right now. But we can learn to be content in that. It's a thing we have to learn because it doesn't come natural to us either. So I've learned how to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So the enablement did not come from the Apostle Paul, and there may have been the attitude in the church at Philippi. Well, hey, okay for you, you're the Apostle Paul. You write scripture. You plant churches. You cast out demons. You're the apostle. You're leading the missionary apostolic band that's going throughout the world proclaiming the gospel. But we're just believers in Philippi. Paul says, look, I got it through the strength that Christ gives me. And really, he's like he's saying here that it's for them as well. But he's explaining how it is I got through difficult times, even without provision, and especially now in the lack of provision that you were not able to send to me anything. Nevertheless, he says, you have done well that you shared with me in my distress. So he said, that said, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and I learned how to suffer need, learned how to do that. That said, you did well that you shared with me in my distress. So he's thanking them, but explaining the place that gift has. It's not about his need, but rather it's because he's learned to be content. But he is thankful to them for meeting the need, because that obviously is better than if the need were unmet, even though he could have made it without it. So, brother and sister, let's think about these things and allow the Lord to speak to our hearts, that we can be content. We can learn to be content regardless of the situation, in conditions that are explained by being abased, being hungry, suffering need. To learn how to be content in those situations, not complacent or not resigned to it, but just content. And then we're in a position then to rejoice in the Lord when others partner with the one who provides in the meeting of our needs. God bless you today.